Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. And in this video, we are going to go over a year-end list that has been pulled together by our wonderful Discord community that we handle through our Patreon page, which is linked down below if you want to check that out and join up for yourself. Every year, they typically come together with some kind of year-end list of their favorite albums that they decide collectively. They do a top list and complete it with blurbs and all that. We've gone over some of those lists before. Let's do it again. In the year of our Lord, 2022, what are the best albums of 2021, according to our Discord community? Let's see. All right, so if you couldn't already tell, this list is a top 25 list, so these are the 25 top records from our Discord community. Starting with Black Dresses, Forever in Your Heart. You guys may remember I gave this one a very positive review. Loved it. I think Devi and Ada totally killed it on this record. I'm so happy that they didn't completely break up for good. This LP felt harsher, more hard-hitting, but still as catchy as their last. It says here, despite the polarizing reactions to their work due to the abrasive internet-era Valley Girl aesthetic they've trademarked, that's a great way to kind of describe it. Black Dresses have been on an incredible musical journey, the expedition through trauma, dysphoria, and worthlessness to love, hope, and perseverance. There is a magnificent metamorphosis being portrayed in their discography, but Forever in Your Heart is their most regressive venture, having more in common with their debut, solidifying the tragic life cycle of growth and decay. The album's themes are presented through two lines in the intro. Can we make something beautiful with no hope? Can we make something beautiful for a better world? It continues, but I generally agree with that assessment in terms of like the themes that are explored in their music, and I think those feelings make their records pretty cathartic and validating as well. And in a way, as dark as Black Dresses music is, there is something hopeful and aspirational about it still that at least I come away from their records feeling like maybe there's a possibility we could live in a better society. I don't know. At number 24, we have Underscore's Fishmonger. This was one that a lot of people recommended to me. I saw a lot of people kind of, jumping onto the Underscores train this year. Outside of a couple tracks, I had a hard time doing it. I mean, I get, the bedroom pop appeal and the hyper pop appeal. I feel like Underscores covers a lot of different bases in terms of very terminally online music, much as Delete Zeke does, though lo and behold, I much more enjoy a lot of Delete Zeke stuff. Not to make a either or type of comparison, because obviously you can enjoy both artists, and I think a lot of people do. But I'm just not as enamored with the Underscores stuff. But Underscores is an artist who refuses to be defined, consistently evolving their sound with every new project into fresh territory, whether that be through collaborative works with Six Impala, their solo work, and Fishmonger is no exception. This time they decided to leave behind their old production style of ultra clean and polished synthesizers and tightly written pop tunes, for the most part, in favor of something with a lot more grit to its name and more experimental in song structuring, while still keeping their signature vocal style that made them so special in the first place. Okay, I mean, I think it's a cool assessment. Nice write-up over here. Thoughtful words. I think the description here is vivid and detailed. Shout out to Babbitt for doing their thing over here. Again, not one of my favorite albums of the year, but interesting to see the Discord community loving it. All right, at number 3, what are we looking at? We have Ugly Mane, Volcanic Bird Enemy, and The Voiced Concern. I will say, even though I didn't love this Ugly Mane record, this is certainly one of the most interesting Ugly Mane albums in terms of all the different styles and sounds. Kind of feels like you're locked into a really awkward nightmare where nothing is quite, scary to the point where it's freaky, but maybe more just kind of generally unsettling. I think it's a really, creative lane for him to be sitting in right now, and it's exciting to see him continuing to try wildly different stuff. Even though, people continually will expect and kind of beg for, another Mr. Thug isolation, but it's never going to happen. It's not a huge surprise that Travis Miller bedwetter, too many pseudonyms, would constantly be looking to experiment and change his sound palette. Volcanic Bird Enemy, though, takes things into a psychedelic, dreamlike direction that pulls from the likes of shoegaze, noise pop, to craft a project completely unlike anything he's done in the past. Sonically, this record pulls out all the stops to craft something that sounds distinctly nostalgic, but incredibly somber. It is definitely nostalgic, but there is something modern about the way all of these kind of noisy sounds come together too. Samples that sound straight from 50s radio dramas, set the tone for heartbreaking songs that see Lil Ugly Mane at an emotional low point. Yeah, this is one of his most depressive records for sure. Reminisces on a rough breakup to an even rougher relationship. Many of these songs message to make the malaise of depression catchy, even as they give way to some seriously devastating lyrics about feeling worthless and putting your whole heart into a person who doesn't give a fuck about you. It's yet another left field turn from Miller, executed flawlessly, and yet another notch in his increasingly impressive and increasingly worrying discography. Yeah, I mean, you do have to kind of worry for the guy as well, considering how dark some of his stuff is. But simultaneously, there is like a really bold and vivid creativity that I think speaks to a thirst for life in his stuff as well, because his music continues to be so adventurous, even if he does address some very dark and personal themes in his stuff. Lil Nas X, Montero at 22, that's cool. Squid, 2 more records I thought were good and very decent, very solid records. Didn't love them myself. As with the Squid, there were some songs I had reservations with. With the Lil Nas X, there were some tracks that I thought were maybe a tad bit overproduced, but still solid records all around in their respective fields. Brockhampton Roadrunner, very cool at number 20. Very sad that they've broken up. I wonder if we're going to get the second record that was supposed to drop this year, or last year rather. I hope that happens at some point. Fingers crossed. But I guess only time will tell. Now 21, I have a hunch. Is it having to do with Arca over here? Yes, Kick 3. Explorations of fame, queerness, love, sexual eroticism, other themes and topics that are also weaved throughout this record. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this at all. I think this is a very clean and straightforward assessment. Kick 3 is undoubtedly one of the best records of the year. Just an insane, mind-blowing sonic experience. Nice. 18, Sufjan Stevens and Angelo De Augustine, A Beginner's Mind. Just a beautiful record all around, in my opinion. Good singer-songwriter record. I like the movie concept. The lyrics are very smart and endearing, and I just think it's a very well-written album, and I think it's one of Sufjan's best in a while. After 2020's The Ascension, you would think that Sufjan Stevens would be running out of ideas out of his magic hat, right? No, of course not. He's one of the most creative and prolific songwriters out of the indie scene ever. He's never going to run out of ideas. He's always going to be doing something quirky. After 2 decades of making every album sound, refreshing, more refreshing than his previous, it seemed like he would run out of steam even after earlier in the year when Stevens released an almost 3-hour ambient project. Yeah, that was pretty huge. And I wish I had more time to review that, but I didn't have strong feelings on it either. But it was still an interesting, creative direction for him to go in. St. Vincent, Daddy's Home at 17. 6th studio album from the eclectic singer-songwriter Annie Clark, a.k.a. St. Vincent, stands out from the pack of projects that jumped headfirst into nostalgia in 2021. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of records that have been diving into nostalgia as of late, but this one is totally unlike any of them. You can, even with Annie kind of throwing it back, you can't say she's following a trend. Japanese Breakfast, Jubilee, nice at number 16. Also a record I like very much. I was hype and, very humbled to have Michelle on the channel at one point for an interview. Great conversationalist and just, great mind, great creative. And, I like the instrumental ambition she showed on this LP. I've seen it on a lot of lists. Is it on my year-end list? No, not necessarily, but it's, certainly worthy of being on an albums list. Be Sweet didn't make it onto my singles list, though. Jubilee more than lives up to its name, on some tracks for sure, bursting with lush vocals and instrumental passages that at times almost evoke chamber music in their nature. Michelle Zauner declared that on her third album, it was a celebration of joy after years of feeling trapped by grief and sorrow, and this shines through in an ecstatic fashion. Front half of the record settles into a warm, gentle sensation with pop hits like Be Sweet, feeling perfectly at home next to the orchestral Kokomo, Indiana, with the bright sax riffs on Slide Tackle. However, the second batch of tracks on Jubilee feel the joy begin to slip away, perhaps most obviously on Sit, which tells the story of a protagonist getting caught up in a relationship that is slipping through their fingers. Yeah, I mean, nice write-up. I'm getting, some nice Patrick Bateman levels of detail in these write-ups. Number 15, it's Genesis Owusu, kick-ass record, Smiling with No Teeth. Just very happy Genesis came on to have an interview this year as well. Gave us a really fantastic LP. Shout out as well to Kieran J. Callanan for him kind of shouting Genesis out and really pushing his music my way to check it out. And I was just pleasantly surprised by what I heard. Low at number 14, Hey What, great record. Hey What is a musical revelation. I feel like that's true. I feel like that's the case. Continuing the experiment that Low began with 2014's Ones and Sixes and perfected on 2018's Double Negative. I have not gone back to Double Negative. I do want to go back to Double Negative and listen to it again, knowing that I love Hey What and kind of see if, more of it clicks for me. I mean, with that being said, I did like a lot of what Double Negative was doing. Were the songs really sticking with me? Not necessarily, but, I thought the sound play was certainly bold and adventurous, but very nice. 14, Hey What. Number 13, what are we looking at? Donda? Donda, number 13? Okay. It's an ambitious record from Kanye and certainly, blows at least some of his recent stuff out of the water. I don't think the record is completely free of like throwaway bars or ego on Kanye's part. I think, honestly, I feel like sometimes Kanye's spirituality is just another avenue for him to, indulge in his ego. And I don't think this album is any exemption to that, but it is a more genuine expression of spirituality for him than I think some of his, stuff has been since his recent Christian arc, Christianity arc creatively anyway, because, Kanye's clearly been a religious guy for a long time. Number 12, Magdalena Bay, Mercurial World. Kick-ass little synth pop record. Like that one a lot. 11, An Evening with Silk Sonic. I mean, it's a decent record. I wish there was just more to it. You know what I mean? Like when I heard the entire thing, while I obviously like the throwback soul vibes the record brings to the table, the more it felt sort of limited in how it presents that genre or dives into that genre. And the more I felt like, yeah, it's good, but like it's not the Isleys. Yeah, it's good, but it's not Stevie. Yeah, it's good, but it's not like any number of classic artists that the hype beasts behind this record like say it's as great as, I think it's good. Number 10, Porter Robinson, Nurture. Nice. If you're an EDM kid like me, there was a pretty big chance that Porter Robinson had left an impact on your life back in 2014 with Worlds. I'm not an EDM kid, so that's probably why. We have Call Me If You Get Lost at number 9. I mean, good record. I loved it. Ended up on my list for sure. So, no qualms with Tyler landing up here. I know there's a lot of Tyler love in the Discord, so him being in the top 10 is not a surprise. Call Me If You Get Lost just feels easy. Everything about it is so seamless and refined, even with all like the DJ shouts, which I thought were cool. I know a lot of people were turned off by them, but I thought they were fun. Tyler's ease of control is unparalleled. It's almost hard to catch a breath for the first 25 minutes or so of this record. The way each track keeps barreling forward into the next, skillfully building on and contrasting with the one that came before. Yeah, it's a fun little, mix of a record. There's a lot of great tracks on there. It's just fun. It's not too serious. It's not too weighed down with a narrative. It's not too dark or anything like that. I mean, it does have, it's sadder moments or, more despondent spots, but it's still a really colorful and really entertaining album that sees Tyler kind of letting loose and, just making something that's more free-flowing and all over the place. And I love that, because even with him getting a little bit more accessible and not trying to be so heady with like a concept or whatever, it's still a record that has a lot of personality and a lot of creativity. Number 8, Spelling, The Turning Wheel. Hell yeah. Should be higher, but I'll take number 8. We have at number 7, Floating Points, London Symphony Orchestra, Pharoah Sanders, Promises. This is looking kind of familiar over here. Love this one. Hypnotic intersection of many great ideas and elements, beautifully arranged in a way that allows the whole unit to be far grander than the sum of its parts. It juxtaposes multiple sets of opposites, minimalism, grandeur, young and old, progressive electronic and spiritual jazz, and modern classical. Shepard, Sanders, and the LSO not only play off of each other's, off their instruments beautifully, but also come together to strike an exciting and seemingly effortless balance between all these groups of opposites. This is a good write-up. Loving the passion oozing out of this write-up. Nice. At 6, Black Midi Cavalcade. Nice. That's a great one. Like that one a lot too. I know that I was not as into that record as maybe some people were this year, but I still think it's a great one, and I still think it sees Black Midi pushing the envelope and doing fantastic stuff. Lingua Ignota, Sinner Get Ready at number 5. That record is an immense one as well that I cannot say enough nice things about. Number 4, JPEG Mafia LP. I was actually just revisiting that one the other day and loved it. Just like nothing but bangers from front to back. Great verses, creative production. Just love the chaotic flow of the track list as well. I feel like Peggy really sharpened his abilities for this one for sure. Of course, the offline version, just really fucking with that offline version. Loving that it's at number 4. Thank you, Taylor Moon. What's at number 3? What's number 3? Black Country New Road for the first time. Another very good one. Yeah, I didn't love this one quite as much either. Like, top 3 level, no. But, I loved it and thought it was very good. I'm actually even more excited for their next record. I mean, if you guys, are feeling like this hot on the Black Country New Road debut, I think the next record's going to blow it out of the water. I mean, it's just a guess, and maybe it'll be worse. Maybe I won't like it as much. I mean, there is a possibility of that, but I think it's going to be better. But Sad Yeehaw says, following 2 highly sought after singles, yeah, my God, the build-up, the anticipation after those tracks, and heavily distributed fan-made bootlegs, it felt like Black Country New Road had a lot of hype and expectations to live up to for their debut. Fortunately, they shed any apprehension with the brilliant For the First Time across 40-odd minutes and 6 tracks. Black Country New Road managed to cover sounds such as klezmer, post-punk, post-rock. Loving the description of the lyrics here, because, I mean, those are just on another level and just make the album a different experience than it would be if any other vocalist or writer were on it. All right, number 2, we have Injury Reserve. Glad to see the fans are loving that. Injury Reserves, by the time I get to Phoenix, marks a new era for hip-hop and also ties the group's prematurely stifled growth to a sad yet fitting close. Yeah, I mean, it's, a really important album for them, but simultaneously it, coincides with the passing of Groggs. Just like a really dark patch for them, us, societally. There's really no knowing or telling what's going to happen with Injury Reserve past this point, which, makes this album kind of a difficult one to reflect on. And number 1, we have Little Sims. Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. I've seen this thing at the number 1 spot of a lot of fan lists, and I'm not really surprised it, turned up here as well. And Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, Little Sims has provided a remarkably personal window into her world above lush, varied instrumentation or varied production. Sims skips over tracks seemingly effortlessly, spinning personal and compelling narratives from her experiences and her observations of the world around her. Her familial relationships, the shortcomings of society, and her journey as an artist are just some of the material that she exposes throughout the record. Feeling the passion, feeling the love for the record. Yeah, this has been a good list. This has been a cool little list to go through. Shout out to Jen, Hassie, Jane, Juicy, Clara, and Merlin. Very nice of you guys to get this list together and, allow me to share it with everybody. Shout out again to the Discord community. Thank you again very much for getting this list together. Thank you for watching. Over here next to my head is another video that you could check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Discord, year-end list 2021 forever.